Okay, so hello everyone. So I hope we are joined and we are in the second series of our integration series in Dynamics 365 and other diversified cloud applications. And we are very happy that we are conducting every Saturday live sessions and which is sponsored by Mumbai India Dynamics 365 and Power Platform community. And we are very grateful towards the community members who are actually joining and making this session successful every Saturday. That's why we have planned a great boot camp down the road in the November, and I hope we will have to show our the same enthusiasm to have a great success on that boot camp also. So today we are going to we are going to conduct second session of our integration series, as because the integration series is integration is most important in ERP and CRM modules in Dynamics 365 space, and also Power Platform space also. So these sessions, whether it is last session dual write session, or whether it is virtual entity, or we have also next three sessions down the road in every Saturday. So all the integrations are very real world examples that we work in our projects, and this will give you more confidence while implementing projects with respect to ERP and CRM modules, with respect to integrations, right? So in our last session we have seen a clarity picture of dual write, how we map source data table to destination system table mappings or field mappings, then how we can transform with different fields with different transformational ideas or different formats. So like that, we will also today keep looking into a different space where we can use virtual tables or virtual entities which are already introduced by Microsoft long before, but we are in it is revamped, right? Previously it was showing read-only options only. We can read data from external data source into a virtual table inside Dynamics 365, but now we are having more features that is added by Microsoft, and we are very happy that Rakesh is going to tell about details about this virtual entity. And thank you everyone joining for this session. Rakesh, over to you. You can start.
Thank you, Sanjay. I hope I'm audible to all.
Yes.
Okay. So, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're joining in. So, my name is Rakesh. I am Senior Solution Architect and Center of Excellence Lead for Dynamics 365 Finance and Operation app with TCS. I'm specialized on finance and operation app side. So for those who are joining today and those who are part of our last session, but just to reiterate, the aim of the series that we are planning to achieve is basically more focus on platform convergence, and you might have also seen a couple of announcement from Microsoft how these platform convergence are working together and bringing a data and having a unified experience for all the customers, and trying to target a couple of key business use cases. And that is where the whole aim of this series, where we are going to share the out of the box capability or the features of cross apps, as well as our some of our learning and the best practices. Okay, one thing we also wanted to touch base in our subsequent session that we plan, which is the key design consideration while going through this journey of platform convergence, right? There are a couple of apps names that probably you might have heard, those who came from a customer engagement perspective or finance and app perspective. You might have also seen there is a concept of dual write, there is a concept of virtual entity or virtual table. However, it is they are very specific to a nature of specific business requirements. So that is how the whole idea of this learning series. Before we get into a discussion of today's agenda, let us quickly understand the objective of this series. So first of all, it's a 6-day sessions, 1 hour each. Understand the core cross capabilities. I think last week we talked about dual write. So that is where what is the dual write is all about, the key business use cases, the whole infrastructure of dual write, and how the data is being synchronizing between both the apps, that is customer engagement or a Power Apps, as well as with the finance and operation app. And we also try to touch base how it helps, going to help to resolve the customer real problem statements. The another objective of this session is to share our learning and the real world business use cases. In terms of the agenda today, we are going to focus more on the getting started with virtual entity. So those who came from a background of customer engagement app perspective, probably for them it's not new, the concept of virtual table or virtual entity. However, for a finance and operation app consultant, it's a complete new concept. They were very specific to the nature of the business problem statement that customer were struggling to fulfill the need, and they were using a couple of different options, and we will try to see in a subsequent slide, and towards the end we will have a demo how this concept of virtual table or a virtual entity is really helping to resolve the customer problem statement. Okay, so let us move on to next slide and look at the detailed agenda for today. So we will start with the problem statements. I think I'm going to refer the same slide that I have referred in the last week. However, we will deep dive more on the virtual entity or virtual table perspective. Then we will also see why virtual table or a virtual entity, right? I think probably in this next 60 minutes or so, I will try to use the acronym of table and entity. But let me just tell you, the entity, it was a common phenomena in a Power Apps and a customer engagement app. However, recently it got changed to virtual table instead of the entity. So all the entity, whether it's a native entity or the virtual entity, those we now call as tables. Then we will also see what are the virtual tables in Dataverse and Dynamics 365 Finance and Operation apps. We will also try to touch base on the high level architecture of how the information flows. And I think in my view, it is very important to understand how the architecture layer works behind the scenes. And that definitely helps to deep dive more in case if there are any telemetry required or in terms of any more understanding is required, right? So that is where we will spend some time to understand the high level architecture. Then we will also try to touch base more on the authentication and the authorization part, because it is very important to see how the authentication work when you enable the virtual entity as a concept in a Dataverse, and how it gets connected in terms of authorization with the finance and operation app. Then we will also try to see the entity modeling concepts. So if at all there is a need for new entity to be created and to be define the relationship, how the primary key fields get enabled behind the scenes, how the Dataverse concept work together, and how the financial operations concepts work together in combination of Dataverse. So that is where I will try to spend a couple of minutes on the entity modeling, couple of slides that I have added. And towards the end, we will see a demo and also the setup and the infrastructure that I have enabled for this demo purpose. Okay, so let us quickly move on to next slide, which is a problem statement, right? So the problem statement was pretty clear to the customers that those customers who are living in a world of customer engagement or a CRM, or maybe for that matter ERP. However, they were struggling to understand how the common data will work together, how that unification of the business process work together. Okay, in a previous legacy world, you might have seen that there were a couple of options were available using the SSIS or some sort of web services model. However, in a cloud world, there are two components are available, which is as part of the cross app series, which is a dual write and the virtual entity. So we will see more in detail on the virtual entity perspective. I think last week we talked about the more on the dual write. So let me just quickly move on to next slide. So what is virtual entity or virtual table? So in a simple layman term, it's a platform which allows you to connect to external data sources. Okay, today we are talking about finance and operation app, but you can attach or you can connect your external data sources virtually, and that will be available in the Dataverse virtually. Okay, However, those who came from a background of customer engagement app perspective, this virtual entity or virtual table as a concept was pretty old concept. It was there quite some time in the customer engagement app perspective. However, it was mainly on a read operation. But with this new enablement, I think in the last year, March or this year, March, Microsoft has made a significant changes to enable the CRUD operations on those virtual entities. And that is where it is now enabling a couple of new business use cases for the customers to leverage the infrastructure or this platform, where there is a need to have a unification of data and the unified user experience from a business process perspective. So I just try to highlight the example for understanding purpose. As you can see here on the left-hand side, you would probably notice here these are Dataverse tables. So in the Dataverse, there are three types of tables. One is a native tables, which comes with the Dataverse when you deploy the Dataverse as a database. Then on top of that, you can create your custom tables based on your business processes, whether it's customer engagement app or maybe for that matter, Power Apps. And there is a third segment called virtual. And that is where the virtual entity or virtual table comes into picture. However, how it works, we will see in the architecture part in more detail. However, as you can see here, I just try to depict the view of the provider, which actually allow you to connect your data sources, which is external data sources outside your Dataverse to the Dataverse using the OData. So there are couple of data providers are currently supported by Microsoft. The one is the OData provider. Second one is using the Visual Studio, and I think it is pretty much available on docs.microsoft site. And those OData and the Visual Studio both are GA now. However, there are two more additional data providers as part of virtual data entities. That is the virtual connector as well as the Cosmos DB, but those are still in public preview. Okay, so this is what all about the what is virtual table. One of the things which I wanted to highlight here as part of this example, for example, if a maker wants to utilize the data from financial operation app and to build the experiences in a customer engagement or a Power Platform, right? Earlier, we used to define a web service or some sort of staging table in between to synchronize the data. However, with the help of a virtual table, you can pull the data or push the data. However, the data will be reflected in the real time with the unified experience. So data lives in the where the originating from. Where, for example, in this scenario, if you are trying to pull the data from the financial operation app, data never gets copied into Dataverse. It will be available inside the financial operation apps only. So there is no cost associated for data to be stored in the Dataverse, and that is what one of the key difference between the dual write and the virtual table or entity. In the case of dual write, the whole data gets copied to a physical table. However, in the case of virtual table, it's available natively virtually in a Dataverse table, but the data lives in the financial operation apps only. So I'll move on to next slide, where we will talk about more on what is virtual table for financial operation apps. So as I mentioned in the beginning of this series, that though we are talking about the virtual table, but more focus will be given to the financial operation app perspective, because that is where the new candidate in the financial operation apps. However, it is not new to the customer engagement world. Okay, so if you want to enable the virtual table, any sort of virtual tables from a financial app perspective, first and foremost, you need to have that public flag to be enabled on your data entity. So think about a scenario, you have that encapsulation layer created as part of your data entity in the financial operation app, and you have enabled the data entity with the enablement of flag of a public. Those data entities will be available in a Dataverse as a virtual table. However, it is not by default enabled. There are a set of configuration to be enabled in Dataverse. I will show in a couple of minutes, where you will see where to go and enable that, so that that particular data entity of financial operation app will be available as a virtual table inside the Dataverse. It does support full CRUD operations from a Dataverse and Power Platform scenario perspective, where you can use the Power Apps in the context of Canvas app or Model Driver app, as well as any sort of portal functionalities. Okay. One of the great functionality which allows a virtual table is a synchronous call, where it allows you to synchronous execution of finance and operations app logic. So think about a scenario: you have logic written inside a data entity of financial operation app. It will be immediately available as soon as your data is being created, updated, or deleted. From a financial operation app perspective. And why it is happening? Why it is too fast? Because there is no data pipeline in between. It is reading using with the help of the OData technology. Okay, it's a real-time access to data without replicating the data. I think I tried to touch base in the previous slide. One of the key thing is to understand it's an integrated platform that requires no dedicated infrastructure. So there is no need to install any sort of additional infrastructure on top of this. As soon as you enable the custom data entity or any standard data entity subject to that data entity mark as a public, it will be available in Dataverse as it is. It does also allow you to low code and no code approach, and also the professional development capability. So if there is a need for a business to quickly build some sort of capability inside the customer engagement app or a Power Apps perspective, you can leverage this capability without writing any single line of code. So that is where the low code and no code concept comes into picture. I'll quickly move on to next slide, and I'll try to spend 5 or 7 minutes on this slide, where I'll try to explain more on the high-level architecture part. So you can read this slide from your from your left to right. So one of the important aspect that we need to understand with this architecture, and you need to always correlate back the previous slide, which is the OData technology that is being used. Okay, I'll try to simplify this architecture diagram for everyone understanding. So as you can see here in the Dataverse section, there are two types of entities that you would see here in the Dataverse. The one is the virtual table, and the other one is the native tables that comes with the Dataverse, right? However, virtual entities or virtual tables does not reside in the Dataverse system, but it connects with the the external system. In this case, in our case, it's a finance and operation app, and that too at a runtime. Okay, so the customer, so vendor, as you can see here, the virtual tables, all these metadata is available as part of your Dataverse solution, because any entity requires the schema, right? That is where you call as a metadata that is available as part of Dataverse solution. On the left hand side, you can see that these two components, right? The two components, which is the virtual plugin, virtual entities plugin. Okay, and that is where the key concept comes into picture. So virtual entity plugins is nothing but the data provider, okay, which actually allows you to connect to web API calls to the virtual entity that provides in the same diagram in the plugin, right? So you can see here it's called the secure call to the entity that are available in the financial operation app on your right hand side. Okay, and then it try to translate the required information as part of service to service call. As part of that translation, there are 2 points, as you can see here. The one as at a web API level, and the another is at a OData API level. So what happens is in the background, first it occurs at a within the virtual entity plugin level, which translates the concepts of your entity physical name to the Dynamic 365 financial operation app data entity name, as you can highlight, as I can see here in the slide deck. And it also converts some of the concepts such as company references into a Dataverse references or a Dataverse construct, right? And finally, when the web API completes the activity, it actually translates the query expressions into the query build data source, which is another X++ construct. So that is where the whole translation mechanism works, right from your virtual entity plugin, that is the data provider, with the secure channel through the web API, and then the business logic of data entity get executed, okay, as you can see here on the right hand side, right? And this arrow goes to your tables and the databases, and that is where once the data entity business logic get executed, it's called the one or multiple table, which is part of that data entity of finance and operation app, and therefore the business logic table also methods get also executed. So think about a scenario: you have couple of methods as part of create, update, and delete as part of this tables level method at a finance and operation app. Whole activity get executed automatically as and when the virtual data entity plugin gets initiated from the Dataverse perspective, and all this information happens at a runtime when you try to execute that information from the Power Apps or from a customer engagement app perspective. Now I'll quickly move on to next slide, where we will try to see a couple of points where it helps to enablement for the Power Platform perspective. So one is the Canvas app. So it does provide you to allow you to create a Canvas app with the help of this virtual entity. You can also leverage the model-driven apps. So it is not stopping you to just focus mainly on a one component on the Power Platform, but it does allow you to focus all the component that comes with the Power Platform, which is leveraging the full potential of the Power Platform, which is your Power Portal, your Power Automate, AI Builder, and Power BI as well. So that is where your finance and operation apps data entities available in Dataverse, and you can leverage across all these enablement of Power Platform. Now let's talk about the authentication and the authorization. I think once I complete the presentation deck, then I will try to help you out with the setup that I have done for the virtual data table, virtual entity, and then we will see how it gets synchronized data between both the apps. But from an understanding perspective, the core concept of authorization and the authentication. So it's a service-to-service calls by using the Azure Active Directory application. So think about a scenario when you try to enable the data entity of financial operation app with Dataverse. You need to create the Azure Active Directory application where the financial operation app is deployed in that tenant, and you need to enable a couple of configuration to enable that actively pass that information service call between Dataverse and financial operation app. In addition to this, you need to also enable the required CDS virtual entity application security role. And why it is required? Because whenever the calls happen from Dataverse perspective, it requires that information to be passed on with the context of that user, right? And with the privileges of that user, it requires certain activity to be performed against that data entity of financial operation app, and that is where there is a CDS virtual entity application security role exists in the financial operation app, which allow you to pass that user context when there is information is being triggered from Dataverse perspective. From an authorization perspective, the context is being delivered from Dataverse. At the same time, the query gets run in the context of the user, and it leverages the user security, as I mentioned earlier, right? Now let us talk about more on the entity modeling. I just try to highlight a couple of points for a financial operation apps consultant perspective to understand more in detail, because they live in a X++ world. However, when it comes to virtual tables or entity perspective, it is very important to understand both the systems, both the databases are having different data types, and that is where those who came from a financial operation app from a development background perspective, they probably would understand in a X++ world, we used to have a couple of data types like date, enum, real, long, or string, memo or non-memo sort of scenario. At the same time, there are a couple of other data types as well, which is container. However, those data types are still not supported for virtual entity. But in the interest of time, I just try to highlight a couple of data types which would allow you to understand how it gets converted at a runtime when you try to invoke that virtual tables or entity from a Dataverse perspective. So each data entity fields get translated into the Dataverse data types, and that is where, as you can see in the previous slide, I was just trying to highlight this translation mechanism which initiates from your virtual entity plugins all the way to the data entities which resides and actually it's translate the Dataverse query expressions as well. So it is very important to understand when you design or when you do a modeling of your entity, it is important to keep a note of the supported data types between finance and operation apps and the Dataverse as far as a virtual table or entities is concerned. Let us move on to next slide and understand more on the primary key implementation perspective. So as you might have noticed in the Dataverse, the GUID is the always a unique key identifier, and that is there since beginning from a customer engagement app perspective. However, from a finance and operation app perspective, we used to always have the rake ID, which is the 64-bit integer number. But the way virtual tables and the virtual entity is designed in the background, it for the primary key perspective for a virtual table, it uses the data entity ID first 4 byte plus the rake ID of last 8 bytes, and that becomes your the unique identifier, your GUID ID. So it is very important to understand when there are one or more fields as part of different data sources or different data types in the finance and operation app. Behind the scenes, the primary key mechanism works for data for a virtual table or entity in a Dataverse in the combination of this data entity ID of first 4 byte plus the rake ID of that particular record of last 8 bytes. Let us try to understand more on the primary field implementation perspective. In finance and operation app, we can have multiple fields of various data types. For example, I can give a string, I can give an integer in between, right? So that is how the multiple fields can be part of my primary field implementation. However, in Dataverse, as far as the virtual table is concerned, each entity can have only a single string that is a primary field. However, if you look at the documentation indicates that when it comes to primary field of virtual table or an entity in Dataverse, it actually works in a mechanism by using the string concatenation or using the string format for entity key field 1 from a finance and operation app perspective, field 2 and field 3. However, there is a limit for total length, which is a 255 characters. So it is very important to understand when you define your entity key, and if you don't have an entity key for your data entity in a finance and operation app, you should have the rake ID as a primary key field. Let us move on to next slide, where try to understand more on the concept of relations, and that is where when we create a new entity, we start with the entity name, the list of entity fields, associated data types, and that is what we have seen in the previous slide, how it gets translated into a Dataverse world using the virtual entity as a concept, right? However, the relationship does matters when there is a lookup to be happen in a Dataverse perspective, and that is where the whole metadata gets set up in finance and operation apps. So there are two aspects when it comes to relationship. The one is the native entity to a native entity relationship, which is a standard concept in the Dataverse, and the GUID is being used to resolve the relationship for related entity. However, in this new world of virtual table or virtual entity, you can define the virtual entity to virtual entity relationship as well. However, a couple of points to be noted while defining the relationship. The very first point is the relationship between two or more finance and operation virtual tables are managed by the metadata and the relationship that is defined on that data entity. So it is very important to understand when you define the metadata as part of the relationship in the data entity, those will be used as part of the relationship when you when you convert that data entity as part of, or enable the data entity as part of your Dataverse virtual table or entity. This relation gets generated as a relationship in Dataverse as soon as you enable that Dataverse, as soon as you enable the data table or virtual table or virtual entity as part of the transaction process. As I mentioned in the previous slide, it uses the GUID, which is your data entity ID of first 4 bytes and the rec ID of that particular record of last 8 bytes. Let us move on to next slide and look at the custom approach for the relationship. Often we have seen that if there is a need for custom relations to be defined, so I'll give you one classic example where you wanted to define the relationship as part of this virtual table or virtual entity. However, the virtual entity to a native entity that is also supported, or native entity to virtual entity. But take an example of the sales order which resides in a financial operation app, which has a foreign key relationship, your customer account, and customer account is part of cust table of my, or customer v3 entity of my Dataverse. However, for some business scenario change, I do not want to use that relationship because that relationship get automatically established as part of my data entity metadata relationship, which I define at that level of data entity, and I want to override that by using my custom relationship, right? So there is an option provided by the product which allows you to define your own relationship, but that can be defined by using the X++ code in the data entity. So I just try to add a snippet. I'll just quickly change the screen. I'll share how you can define that in the X++ code. So there is a framework class given. That framework class allows you to define the additional relationship. So think about a scenario. You don't want to give a relationship with the customer table of or a customer v3 entity of financial operation app as part of virtual table, but instead you want to specify or highlight to account entity in Dataverse. That you can define by overriding the particular method that is defined by the framework, and then on that particular data entity by creating the chain of command or an extension, and then that way you can leverage that. So it does provide the multiple option, as I can just quickly reiterate our previous slide understanding, virtual entity to the native entity relationship or the custom relationship, so on and so forth, right? So with that, I'm going to share my screen now. I'm going to stop this presentation now, and someone is to confirm me whether they're able to see my screen. I'm just sharing the application. I hope everyone is able to see my screen.
Yes, you are able to see your screen. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So I'll just quickly start with the experience of setup and the configurations. So when you do the setup, when you're planning to enable the setup, there's a one particular component that you need to install. Let me just quickly show you. As you can see here, I am using the demo environment, and in the demo environment, I have deployed the solution for finance and operation app virtual entity. Okay, so this allows me to automatically enable the virtual data entity as an external data source in the Dataverse. So I have enabled the advanced settings over here by clicking settings and administration, and as part of virtual entity data sources, if I just click on that, post deployment of that solution, you would see here the additional data sources are available called as financial operation app. If I just go inside, if I just click on that, and if I just go inside, you would notice here the couple of options that I talked about in the beginning, where I need to set up the authentication part of your Azure Active Directory. As you can see here, I have added the target URL of my financial operation app. I also provided a tenant ID, the Azure Active Directory application ID that I have created. So that application ID, I have enabled that access, the details or the ID details that I have provided, as well as the secret key. Okay. As you can see here, there are two options, which is by default comes with the solution of that virtual entity as part of financial operation app. One is the API managed prefix, and this is important to understand whenever you enable the virtual entity, each and every entity will come with the prefix as a MS ERP. Okay, so I'll show you a couple of entity we'll try to enable, and we'll see that how it gets reflects. So this is the first option that you need to configure post enablement of this particular app inside your Dataverse. Once you're ready with this, as a second step, you need to navigate to the financial operation app, system admin module, and in the Azure Active Directory, you need to add the entry for the virtual entity. So as you can see here, this is the Azure Active Directory application that I have created, where I have passed that information to this virtual entity data source as well as the Azure Active Directory, and also pass the user ID. As mentioned in the previous slide deck, if you don't want to execute all these calls of virtual data entity or table for your admin ID, then you can create a dedicated ID and assign the dedicated role for CDS virtual data entity, and that actually helps to pass all the required metadata as part of the translation call happens from Dataverse to financial operation apps. So these are the two components that you need to enable when you are planning to enable a virtual data entity, and you want to enable the financial operation app as all the data, public enabled data entities into Dataverse. Then once you do that, you can navigate to the filter options. I'll just quickly show you how you can navigate and quickly enable whatever the data entities that are part of financial operation app. Okay, you need to look up for the option called the available finance and operation entities, and when you try to hit the filter options or results, this advanced find will give you a list of data entities, and it's actually try to collect the data using the OData from the financial operation app, and then you can enable the required data entity to be part of your Dataverse. So as you can see here, these are the list of data entities were directly fetching information from. So let me just quickly take one which HCM application entity. So here you can see all the data entities, those are marked as a public, will be available as part of this advanced filter. However, you need to perform additional steps if you want that data entity to be part of Dataverse. So you need to enable this option for visible. Then only this particular data entity will be available in Dataverse. So by default, all the data entity will not be directly available in Dataverse as a virtual table or virtual entity. You need to perform these additional steps as part of these configurations. So again, in the interest of time, I already enabled a couple of entities. I'll just quickly show you. As you can see here, this is my trial environment. Let me just quickly search with the virtual entities or tables that I have enabled. So which I'll try to share with MS ERP. Okay, so as you can see here, these are the list of data entities of financial operation app I have enabled here, and you can see here the name start with the MS CRM, MS ERP because of the prefix that has been part of that configuration, right? So I have already enabled it for customer V3 entity, data entity of financial operation app, customer group, and CDS sales order header and sales order line. Okay. So as part of demo, what I'll try to give you, I'll just quickly walk you through the couple of options that we have seen in the presentation deck. I'll start with the customer group first, where we will see a list of relationship and how those relationships are established, so that you can understand when this virtual data in virtual table or virtual entity gets enabled. So as you can see here, right, all the relationship, if I just click on the relationship option, it's default, so to navigate to all, you can see the relationship defined for this particular customer group data entity of financial operation app is having a data area ID, which is your company ID, right? However, if you just go back to the another data entity, which is your customer MS ERP. Let's take an example of sales order header. There you would see the relationship is with the sales order line, which is the foreign key of your sales order line. So that is where when you define the relationship at a data entity level in the Dataverse, when you try to enable that data virtual table or virtual entity, that relationship will be automatically available here. Okay, so I'll just quickly show you how the data gets automatically enabled. I'll just quickly go back to the customer group. And why customer group? Because customer group is simple to create and navigate. That's the reason. So as you can see here, I'll just quickly enable all the columns. And you can see here all the data that has been available in Dataverse will be available in Finance and Operation app, directly available in Dataverse. It's not stored in Dataverse, but it is available directly from that external sources. So you can see here all the company and all the information. So what I'll do now as a next step, I'll go and quickly navigate to the customer group form over here. And I'll try to create a new record over here as part of our enablement, because I have enabled this data entity. As soon as I save this, as you can see here, this data which I have created for against the USMF company exists in the it started showing in the virtual table of Dataverse. However, the data still resides in the Finance and Operation app, but you can still leverage in the list of apps that supported by Power Apps. So as part of another demo, I just try to create a simple app over here. Okay, as you can see here, I created a Canvas app using tablet layouts. Simply added the two gallery component over here. The first one, which actually talking to the data source of my sales order header virtual entity. Second one is the sales order line. However, I just added the additional items because I want, as and when the record that is being selected on a sales table, all the respective lines should also get filtered automatically, and that is where it gets the relationship that has already been established as part of that virtual table in a Dataverse, which actually a data entity from Finance and Operation app, right? So I've added the items and provided the gallery one, which is this one, dot selected dot CDS virtual table that I have just passed from a Finance and Operation app to Dataverse. So if I just try to execute this particular app, you would notice here when I click on this particular information, it tries to start fetching a data which is in line with this 003 sales order. If I just move my cursor from 001 to 004, it start reflecting only those lines which are part of that particular sales order. So this is what the main purpose and the main real beauty of virtual tables and virtual entity as part of this new technology stack. I think I'm done from demo and the presentation perspective. I think if someone has any questions, Sanjay?
Till now, we do not have any more questions right now. But this is a great session to learn virtual entity, how we can connect ERP to CRM. And also, I request everyone, if you have any question, you can talk with us in LinkedIn also, or you can drop us an email, or you can join in our Mumbai India Power Platform or Dynamics 365 group, so that you can put your questions there and we can answer your questions. Okay. So that's all, Rakesh. Thank you for your time, and we got to know about virtual entity in details with high-level architecture. And any more questions, guys? You can put it here in the chat box so that you can answer. Okay, no issues. So we can meet next session next Saturday, Rakesh. And thank you for your time.
Thank you all. Thank you.
And okay, thank you. Cheers, everyone.